Welcome to the Encouragement for Real Life podcast. I'm Julie Lefebure, your host. Life is remarkable, sometimes raw, and always real. And some days we could use a little extra encouragement for our real lives. Here you'll find that, along with personal life-impacting stories, helpful life hacks, timely inspiration, biblical insight, and a fresh perspective. The Encouragement for Real Life podcast equips you to be a light in this world and to shine bright wherever God has you. I'm glad you're here today. Well, today is our guest episode for the month, and joining me on the podcast is another male. So it's our second male guest. Last month, I had my husband on the podcast, and now this month, I have our son, Zach Lefebure. Zach is a very wise soul, in my opinion, even though he's in his late 20s, and he is a business owner. He is a newlywed. He is a man, I believe, I like to say, after God's own heart. And he is just a really fun person to be around, and he's a great son. And, you know, he was, I would have to say, a very easy child to raise when he was young. And now that he's grown up, probably living the life that he is desiring to live, I love watching our grown kids grow into the people that God desires them to be. So without further delay, I invite you to listen to our conversation. We had a great time together, and I loved hearing what Zach had to say about life and about faith, and just about taking bold steps to do what God calls us to do. So, without further delay, let's get into this episode. Well, I'm excited today to welcome my son, Zach Lefebure, to the Encouragement for Real Life podcast. So welcome, Zach.
Thank you. Good to be here.
I'm glad you're here. Thank you for doing this. I'm thrilled. Zach is our second male. Last month, we had my husband, Bill, on the podcast, and now so Zach is joining us today. So Zach, tell us about you and who you are, what you do, anything you're passionate about. Just tell us about who you are.
Okay. Big shoes to fill after last week.
Last month,
excuse me, yes. So, my name's Zach, 27, about to turn 28. I'm a photographer, specializing in weddings, engagements, but really anything with people. What I'm passionate about really relationships. That's one big thing. Like I always preach in my photography business of building relationship with the people I work with and capturing moments that they'll be able to cherish for the rest of their life. And that's really kind of what my business is on just the basic level there. Yeah, passionate about relationships with friends, family, even more than photography. Relationships are so big to me, and just staying close with people I am close to and building new ones.
Yeah, good. Now, how did you find your passion for photography?
It's a good question. So I had no idea what I wanted to do outside of high school. I went to community college right down the road, and I think I needed like an extra class to fill my schedule, and I saw Intro to Photography, and I was like, you know what, I've always kind of been interested in photography, but never had picked up a camera, obviously besides my phone at that point. And then I decided to select that class, and the first day it was like God opened my eyes to what all it could be, and I was hooked, and Intro to Photography turned into more classes and transferring to a 4-year school to capture all their sports action, and that's what I really wanted to do. And then I dabbled in weddings here and there, and then really just it was put on my heart to really just focus on that, and I think I've been doing it for 8 years now, so yeah, it's crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, well, Dad and I talked about last month that it was 10 years ago that you graduated from high school.
Yeah.
And here you are.
Yeah. Insane.
Wow. Well, you recently quit your full-time job to pursue this passion of building relationships and photography. So can you tell us like how that process went and how your faith impacted that decision and what, if anything, almost held you back? Because you were working full-time at a printing company. Yeah, a printing company. And then you've decided to say goodbye to that and move into this full-time. So tell us about that process.
Yeah. When I started at the print company, I was still, the amount of photography work that I had been doing is probably less than, what part-time would be. It has just continued to grow. And I worked at the print company for 4 years. I think I started 2020. Yeah, it was 4 years in October. And my photography business continued to expand. And obviously that was my goal, my dream, to do this full time. And it just got to the point where it was very hard to do both, which is a good problem to have. The last 2 falls, the kind of busy seasons, were pretty tough to navigate doing both. But, in the slower seasons, it was a lot easier in terms of what was holding me back. Looking back, I wish I would have made the change a little bit sooner, but obviously loved working where I did. But I think comfortability is a huge thing. And I know myself, I was comfortable in the spot I was. And sometimes making a change that makes you uncomfortable isn't so bad. So I guess that's kind of what almost held me back, but very thankful that I made the change when I did. In terms of faith, obviously I prayed about it when I should make this change. And at the end of the day, I know that God has me. He's got me, and he's not going to lead me astray. And so I'm just trusting in him. And this process was big. I obviously couldn't do it on my own. So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Has it been exciting, or has it been kind of nerve-wracking, or how has it been? Because you've only done these 2 months ago.
Yeah, January 10th, I think, was my last day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's both, like, very exciting, because busy season really hasn't started. I've had a few weddings here and there, but having a chance to work on things where I wouldn't have had the time to, that's really exciting, and building a better experience for the people that I'm honored to serve and to work with. It's just been a blessing that way, where I'm able to put my all into the experience of people that work with me. So that's big. And then, yeah, I mean, it obviously is a change in terms of, the 9 to 5, having a steady paycheck every 2 weeks is something where I was, accustomed to. And so that's certainly been a change, but no, it's been great.
Good.
Yeah.
And you're a newlywed.
I am, yes.
Still, we'll call you a newlywed,
Yes.
Right? When does that end? Like at a year?
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, we just, I guess, technically had our 6 months. We were married August 31st, so we didn't have a true 6-month anniversary, with February being the 6 months. But yeah, it's been good, and I feel like I'm actually able to spend quality time with my wife now, because I don't have to work after I get done working. So that's been really big, and our relationship really has blossomed from that quality time, instead of having a computer in my lap while we're doing whatever. So yeah, it's been really good.
Yeah. And I've appreciated how, you've not said this, but how I've caught this, that you try to work around Paige's schedule.
Yeah.
Because she has a varying schedule. And
yeah, she's in the healthcare system, so her schedule changes on the week. So it's been nice to kind of have a little bit of more freedom of time and when I can work, and kind of relate to her schedule. So when she's off, I'm able to spend more time with her.
Yeah, that's great. That's good. What have you enjoyed most about married life?
Oh, that's a good question. That is a good question. Just continue to build and grow together. Obviously, it's been 6 months, so some ways it feels the same as what we were before, but yet different. It feels like, I don't know, it's weird to say, it feels like the real deal now, and I'm just excited to see where we go together, where we grow, and where life takes us. So.
Yeah, that's great. Well, good. Well, you mentioned about your faith when you were making this decision to leave your job and to do this full time. So how are you actively growing your faith in Jesus, like daily or weekly? Or what do you do to grow your own faith?
Yeah, definitely. So I always make a time, whether that be in the morning. I usually work out in the morning, whether that be before or after, to spend time with God and getting the word. And so that's certainly been big. And it's been, obviously, going full-time photography, I'm able to spend a little bit more time on that, which obviously it shouldn't depend on outside circumstances like that, but it's been a little bit easier now to actively make that time. And then just continue to pray and talk with God just throughout the day. You know, if I'm going to do something, doing this podcast, I'm praying with him on the way here, because it's not something I regularly do. So in wedding days, like on my way to weddings, whether that be 2 hours away or 5 minutes, where I just had one this past weekend, I'm always praying for the day to go well, praying for the couple I'm working with marriage.
That's
so good. Just continuing to communicate and pray with him, and
That's good. That's great. Yeah, that makes eternal impact. Yeah, that's wonderful. I love it that you pray for the couple too. That's awesome. So knowing that the majority, probably the most of the listeners of the Encouragement for Real Life podcast are women, and you're not, what's some encouragement that you can offer a listener today from your perspective, or just whatever maybe God laid on your heart, even driving here? Any encouragement that you can offer?
Yeah, I guess being on the topic of, like, I'm chasing my dream. Like, I don't know, I live uncomfortable and chase the dream. Do what you want to do, you know, take a chance here and there. It's so easy to just go through life and do day after day of doing the same thing and being comfortable with where you are. Just go for it, you know. Do big things and don't look back, you know.
Don't look back.
Yeah.
So if someone is contemplating maybe making a change or doing something out of their comfort zones, you'd say go for it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, think of it logically, of course, but I think everybody I talk to, even my sister, like, she did it a year before me and she wishes she did it sooner. You know, it's something that you kind of realize, like, man, what would I have done with another year of doing this, you know, even looking back like that. So go do it. Go do what you want to do. I forget what verse it is, but like in the full grand scheme of things, you're just like mist. Like your life is just like mist in the wind. You know, it's you only get one life here on earth, and just make the most of it each and every day. So whatever that means for the respected person.
Yeah. It's so easy to allow fear to come in and hold us back from. Yeah. And who knows what God might want to do with us when we're open and receptive to stepping out of that comfort zone.
Right. And, it may not be always something you're 100% wanting to do, but being open and receptive to whatever change God has in store for you is huge.
Yeah. And not to get stuck in a rut, or it's so easy to do something that's comfortable. We just want to stay there. Yeah. Kind of like a comfort blanket or a comfy sweatshirt. You just want to stay in there. Yeah. You know, I was also thinking about, if you've read my book, Right Now Matters, I talk about Zach a couple times in the book, and I would love to know your perspective of that. In the introduction, I talk about really what opened my eyes to, I had a problem with living distracted, was a instance at a soccer game of Zach's, which would have been 10 years ago. That's hard to believe to me. Anyway, how did you feel about that when you read it for the first time? We've never really, I mean, we've talked about it, but I would love to have maybe you share your perspective of, like, really, my mom really wasn't paying attention? Or?
Yeah. I mean, like, at the time, it could have fooled, like, I mean, you, like, credit to you, like, you didn't miss anything of mine, you know, and, like, a lot of kids can't say that about the parents. You and Dad, you made a conscious effort to be at everything. And obviously it's different if, like you say, you were distracted. Obviously, I get that. But yeah, I don't know. Things happen like that. I didn't really react one way or another, but it's certainly something that we don't think about. Like, the idea of you being there, like, that's all I noticed at the time.
Yeah, you wouldn't have known any different.
Right, it's obviously different in your perspective of you missing a moment like that. I mean, it's a good reminder for those who haven't read your book. I would certainly recommend it. So
yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think God allows those things to happen in our lives to wake us up
Yeah.
and say, wait a minute
Hello.
here.
Yeah.
You're missing out on things. You're missing out on life happening right in front of you.
Right.
And yeah. So thank you for allowing me to use that.
Yeah.
Use you as an example in the book. That was a fun story to share, but also a hard story to share. So anyway, also thinking of that about our mother and son relationship, I think it's just kind of fun to think about now that you're married and you're starting your own family. I think we try to keep our relationship growing, or at least from a mother's perspective, I want to stay in my kids' lives. So I would love to know what you think, what we do well to keep our relationship growing, and maybe how we can encourage parents who have older children and the older children, how we can encourage them to continue to grow their relationship. So what's one thing you think that we're doing well in growing our mother-son relationship?
Yeah. I think communication. I don't know. We try to talk on the phone, a few times a week, just to check in, see how things are going. I know that you pray for me and everybody in our family every day, which is a blessing, and I try to do the same thing. I mean, I obviously wish we could all, as a family, get together more, but I think we make a conscious effort to, as much as we can, to spend time together. Yeah, I mean, it can't always happen to get together, but I think communication, whether that be on the phone or a video call or something like that, often is huge to stay involved in each other's lives and know what's going on.
Yeah, so. Yeah. Zach's been really good about reaching out. Like when he was working at his job, he would call. It was almost like clockwork, like 2 or 3 times a week. Right after he'd get off work, he'd call. And that was, I don't know if you've ever seen this. I've seen a reel floating around on Instagram of a mother, and the caption is something, when your son calls, this mother has a whole bunch of things in her hand, and like maybe she's heading out the door to go somewhere, and her son calls, or her daughter, but it said son, and she just drops everything and plops on the couch. And that's what I always tried to do when Zach would call. I'm usually here in my office working, and he'd call, and I'd be like, okay, need to stop, and I would go upstairs and just not be distracted by work. But you were really good about just calling, and you still do that well, but it's not clockwork anymore.
Yeah, I don't have the reminder of clocking out of work and heading home is the time I call you. So yeah.
So if you have a parent still alive, my parents are both gone, but if you have a parent still alive, I would suggest making time for that phone call every week or a couple times a week. That has really meant a lot to me as a parent, and I assume it's meant a lot to you. Definitely. Otherwise you probably wouldn't be doing it. It's certain. I'm very blessed to have you guys and Alyssa very close. Not everybody has that, so I certainly don't take it for granted and appreciate how close we are. Yeah, we are close in location and close in relationship. Yeah. And we do get together. We just had a dinner the other night. All of us were together, and that was fun and sometimes chaotic, and sometimes the meal doesn't turn out the way we want.
It did. It was very good. Don't say that.
I know, but it was fun. It's always fun. It's always something that's strange or fun that happens that we can always look back on. On the opposite side of that, what could we do better as mother-son relationship? What could we do better?
That's a good question too. I don't know. Do you have anything?
I don't know if I really have anything. I was thinking of, I want to be so active in your guys' lives that I never want to be the mother that will come across as getting in between your relationships between you and Paige or Alyssa and Morgan. That I always have to keep in check. Your relationship to your spouse comes first. That scripture that talks about, son leaving their mother and father and clinging to his wife. We want to honor that. And so I don't know if that's something that we really need to prove. It's just something I just need to continue to remind myself that your relationship with your wife comes first. And I don't know if there's anything that I can think of that I'm sure there is that we could do better. Anything that you can think of?
I don't know. It'd be great to get together more often, but it's not always possible with everybody's schedule. It's hard to get 6 people and
2 babiys or 2 little boys.
They have nothing going on. But yeah, 6 people who certainly have different schedules. It's tough to line up sometimes. But in a perfect world, but
yeah, I know some families do like a weekly, like a Sunday brunch or a Sunday dinner, and that would be great. But I don't know if we can all do that.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that's probably something we could probably do better. But I mean, it kind of changes with the seasons too. Winter might be a little less hectic for families than summer, or I don't know, but we can also do more things outside when it's summertime.
Yeah. Right.
So thinking more about our mother-son relationship, when you were still living under our roof, what did I do to bug you? Because there's probably, maybe you're the mom that you still have children at home and your kids are shutting down. Maybe you just feel like you're not connecting with them the way you want to connect with them. So what did I do back then to hinder, and be honest, was I a helicopter mom? I met with a friend yesterday, and she talked about how her sister actually made her aware that her tone that she speaks to her family was very offensive and very disheartening to them, and she didn't even know that until after her kids were already grown. And so that was just something that popped in my head, like, maybe there's things that we as moms do that we could maybe do a little bit different. Anything at all that you can think of? Or was I just the perfect mom?
You're up there. Gosh, that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, you gave me space when I needed space. I feel like that wasn't very often, but I wouldn't characterize you as a helicopter mom.
I think we parented different than many of your friends' parents because of what we thought, how we allowed God to affect and mold our parenting. I think that might have been different. Did you notice that at all? I remember Lissa saying that at one point, that we were probably more strict than other parents.
Probably, but I don't know. Maybe at the time it was annoying, but looking back, like, I don't think I would change anything. I feel like me and Lissa's upbringing was great. I mean, I'm sure there were certain instances where it's like, oh, I can't, like, why won't you let me do this thing, or
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I think it certainly worked out. Yeah, it's tough in that high school age when you want to do, even not high school, any time where you have friends and they're doing something, you want to do what they want to do, and it may not be the best thing. So looking back, I'm certainly thankful for how we were brought up, but I'm sure that was a little tough to realize at the time.
Yeah. And one thing that I remember that we did do that you guys really did not like, we made you do chores all week. I mean, every week.
Yeah.
In order for them to go to the Friday night football games at school, they had to have their chores done. So do you remember what you kind of each had your own.
Yeah.
Was yours dusting and
vacuuming, I think. Yeah.
And Lissa's was?
Swiffer.
And bathrooms, sinks? I don't know. Swiffer and...
window
windows.
Clean windows and mirrors.
Windows and mirrors. Yeah. So they each had chores to do, and it was great. I didn't have to vacuum, dust for years.
Is that what you miss most about us? Being out of the house, being an empty nester, having to vacuum.
Yeah, and then we got that little vacuum that does its own thing. So so that was one thing that I was grateful that we did, and even if that's those traits or those skills that you didn't use when you lived on your own, at least you learned them at home. But,
no, absolutely. And I don't know, like, at that age, the act of working towards something, even if it's something as simple as doing chores to go to a football game, that's something that kind of builds that foundation of, you can't always do what you want to do. You have to kind of go through a process of getting there. So yeah.
And so the opposite of that, what did you appreciate most about either our parenting or growing up here, or something that we did well at?
Yeah, I guess kind of going back to what I said with your book being present, I think that was a huge thing. And even just the act of being there, it really showed that you guys cared about what we were involved in, or obviously just cared about us, of wanting to be involved in all that stuff. And I think that's huge, and not everybody has that, which I wish they did, but I'm certainly thankful for that. And maybe easy to just say, oh, go get a ride with these people's parents, and obviously that happens sometimes things come up, but I think that was certainly one thing that I'm super grateful for, and building the foundation of our faith. Obviously that goes without saying. It's like set us up for success in that way, to know how important our faith is.
I remember the night when you and Lissa both put your faith in Jesus. We were sitting in her doorway, and I don't know why we were sitting there, but you did, and you were little, and that was just a moment for me as a mom I'll never forget. But you probably don't. You probably were so young, maybe you probably don't.
Yeah, I don't distinctly remember it, but
yeah. And my parents modeled that, where they showed up for everything. My dad owned his own business, and he would shut his mechanic garage down, middle of the afternoon, to come to our baseball games or our softball games or track meets. I mean, it never fails. I would be on the starting line of the track meet or a race, and I would look up in the stands, and there were mom and dad, and it was just very few parents were there, but my parents were always there. So that always meant to me. So when I had kids, I wanted to be that kind of parent too. Yeah. So it's interesting how what we do can impact, the next generation, and even the next generation, because even what my parents did for me, they impacted really you.
Definitely.
Yeah. So what we do really does matter. All right, we'll close it up. Anything else that you can share to encourage someone listening today? One last nugget, one piece of advice, because you're pretty wise for your age, I'd say, and I think you have a lot to share. So anything that you can end us on today? Or a favorite scripture or anything?
There's a book that I'm in the process of reading. It's called Psycho-Cybernetics. It's kind of just talks about self-image and changing the way of thinking, kind of setting you up for success. It says that happiness isn't a destination, it's a habit. And that's something that in these last few weeks while I'm reading it, trying to really focus on that, where I don't know, we haven't talked about this, but you think you'll be happy once you get to this destination, and that's not always the case. You gotta do your best to be happy in the journey, in the everyday, and that might just make you get to that destination faster. Loving the work that you do, you're trying your best to. Sometimes the situation isn't always great, but trying to be focusing on putting effort into being positive and happy every day. That's something that I try to do my best at. So,
you're good at that. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for joining me here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was
great. I love having the people that are really impactful in my life on the podcast, my guest episodes. That's what I'm filling my guest episodes with this year. So thank you for being our third guest for 2025. And happy early birthday.
Thank you.
Gosh, how can my youngest be 28?
10 years since I graduated high school. That's
crazy.
crazy.
It is. Well, thanks again.
Thank you.
All right, love you.
Love you too.
All right. Thanks for joining us. It was so enjoyable having Zach on the podcast today, and I pray that you found some encouragement and that you were blessed by our words and by his words. And I absolutely love having the people that have really had an impact on my life as guests, because I get to hear pieces of their lives, of their stories that maybe I would not normally get to hear. And it was fun to hear Zach share his wisdom and insight and encouragement with us today. And so I pray that you were encouraged and inspired as well. And so as I was thinking about this and parenting, and, so many of us are in different stages of life, but through my almost 31 years of experience in Christian parenting, I love the fact that every stage is just a little bit different. And if you're in a stage of parenting that maybe you could just use a little help in, I would love to come alongside of you. I can help you navigate whatever stage of parenting you may be in today. Or maybe you're just feeling stuck or stagnant in your life or in your faith. Well, I can help you discover the abundant life that you were designed to live, that God has designed for you to live. Through my Abundant Life mentoring, I offer you the opportunity to work with me one-on-one. And this is tailored to your unique journey, your unique experiences, through encouragement, through biblical wisdom, and through practical steps to help you move forward in faith and in your life. A link to my website is in the show notes, where you can go ahead and schedule your preferred time where we can get together. You can even have a 20-minute or so connection call with me to see if it's even possible that we could work together for both of our perspectives. I would just love to connect with you, and I cannot wait to join you on your journey. So check out the show notes and find the link there. And I encourage you to please share this episode with a friend who could use this encouragement today. And you can always support this podcast by leaving a rating and a review from wherever you're listening, by subscribing. And if you prefer to watch the podcast, well, you can find it in video form on YouTube. So thank you for tuning in today. Have a blessed week, and God bless you. Thank you so much for joining me here today. You can find more at julielefebure.com. And until next time, stay encouraged.